I am 23 years old and I work as a masseuse. I detest this occupation, yet I've been doing it for 6 years. You might wonder, if you hate it so much, why persist? The truth is, I have no alternative. My family is dirt poor. Apart from me, there are 2 younger brothers at home. My father made it crystal clear that nothing in the household would be mine in the future. Just because I'm a girl and the eldest sister, I was seemingly born to serve my younger brothers. I dropped out of school prematurely. My father shoved 50 yuan and a few coins into my pocket and sent me off to the city to seek employment. I had no choice but to go. Both my younger brothers needed money for school, and the family funds simply couldn't cover their expenses. By pure chance, I ventured into the massage industry. The person who facilitated this told me that this line of work held promising prospects. As long as I worked hard and refined my skills, I could surely earn a decent income. Maybe I could even invest and become my own boss. When I heard these words back then, I was as thrilled as if I'd been infused with a burst of energy. This seemed like my golden opportunity to turn my life around. Such a chance I had to grasp. I thought that when I had money, my parents wouldn't just dote on my younger brothers. However, once I truly stepped into this profession, I discovered that reality wasn't as rosy as I'd envisioned. While the earnings were slightly higher than those of an ordinary waitress, the difference wasn't substantial. More importantly, in this line, I constantly encountered all kinds of men. My spirit and my heart were constantly tormented. I recall shortly after I started as a masseuse, I came across a middle-aged man. While massaging his back, his mouth wouldn't stop babbling, constantly griping about his wife. At the peak of his rant, he even raised his head excitedly, sending saliva flying all over me. I faintly caught a whiff of his breath and felt nauseated, but endured in silence. After all, he was the paying customer. Unexpectedly, near the end of the massage, he suddenly sat up and seized my hand, declaring, "Little sister, I have no affection left for my wife. We're bound to divorce sooner or later. You have no idea. We haven't had any intimate moments for ages. How about this? I'll give you more money, and you sort me out." I was petrified and frantically yanked my hand away, but he became even more audacious, getting handsy and making lewd remarks. "It's a private room anyway, no one will know," he said with a sleazy grin. His greasy face repulsed me to the core. I could only break free and dash toward the door. Back then, I naively believed such incidents were rare, but reality dealt me a harsh blow. In the massage parlor, encountering such men was the norm. One day, during my menstrual period and enduring discomfort, I was massaging a male customer. Just after a couple of strokes, he called a halt and propositioned me. I had no intention of indulging in such activities and merely wanted to provide a proper massage, but he persisted. To fend him off, I casually mentioned being on my period. I expected him to back off, but instead, he changed tack and said, "Then help me with your hand. I'll triple the payment." That time, I was seemingly possessed and didn't turn him down. The money he offered was equivalent to what I'd earned from massaging others for half a month. He was ecstatic and promised to return, but as soon as he stepped out, I overheard him on the phone. Not knowing who he was speaking to, This is a tramp. How filthy. He was the one who pleaded for my assistance, and he was also the one who later called me dirty. How absurd. Previously, I was like an immaculate sheet of paper. After taking up this job, it felt as if one person after another splashed ink all over me. Now, I am already solid beyond recognition, but lacking both education and skills. I dare not lose this job, even if it's demeaning. It's my lifeline. Until one fine day, a man entered my world. He was gentle, wore a pair of glasses, was polite, and exuded a scholarly charm. The day he visited the parlor for a massage, he gave an extremely proper impression. He refrained from any inappropriate remarks, merely stating that he was exhausted from work and sought relaxation through a massage. I developed a favorable impression of him, yet dared not entertain extravagant thoughts. Considering my status, he surely wouldn't hold me in high regard, would he? Surprisingly, after his several subsequent visits, he actually invited me for a meal. It was Valentine's Day. I followed him, wide-eyed, to an upscale restaurant. I was still marveling at the restaurant's ambience when he suddenly produced a bouquet of flowers and confessed his feelings. He said he adored my bewildered look, finding it charmingly silly. I couldn't believe my ears. True, I might have a decent appearance, but the disparity in our statuses was vast. I never dared to dream of having a shot at being his girlfriend. At that time, I foolishly believed this was a stroke of good fortune bestowed by the gods. I regarded him as true love and wholeheartedly spent all my love and money on him. Alas, the good times didn't last. As our relationship deepened, he gradually shed his veneer of gentility, revealing his hideous and repugnant true self. Anytime I didn't comply with his demands, he'd unleash a torrent of abuse. If I dared to retort, he'd seize my hair and slam my head forcefully against the wall. The more I resisted, the harder he hit. Sometimes, he'd even deliver resounding slaps across my face until my mouth bled. It took me immense effort to break free from his clutches. This was my first love, my romantic entanglement. I gave my all, only to be left with a heart brimming with scars. Since then, I've steered clear of the word love. The sole thought in my mind has been to make money. One day, a bald middle-aged man showed up at the parlor. After I finished massaging him, he forthrightly proposed to keep me as his mistress. By now, I was thoroughly disillusioned with men, but that didn't dampen my craving for money. Thus, I became the mistress of the bald middle-aged man. True to his word, he'd provide me with a fixed sum of money each month, far exceeding my salary. Occasionally, he'd also purchase designer bags and jewelry for me. This emotionless, mutually beneficial relationship held a certain allure for me. Just as I was reveling in this carefree existence, the wife of the bald middle-aged man came looking for me. His wife was a fierce character. She hauled me onto the street and tried desperately to strip me naked. Had it not been for the kind intervention of passers-by, I reckon I would have been completely exposed. After this tumultuous incident, my life was thrown into utter chaos and could never return to its former state. Faced with his wife's tirades and assaults, the bald middle-aged man callously abandoned me, and because of this debacle, the parlor dismissed me. For a period, I found myself with nothing. After years in the massage industry, my health deteriorated. I was plagued with certain gynecological disorders. Moreover, my money was nearly depleted. I was compelled to take up a job in a small diner, earning less than 2,000 yuan each month, leading a haphazard existence day after day. At night, lying in the pitch-black room, I stared at the ceiling, consumed by regret. I rue not having defied my family and persisted in continuing my studies, even if it meant merely completing high school. I lament falling for a scoundrel. I regret succumbing to temptation and becoming someone's mistress for fleeting gains. I regret my lack of ambition and not taking my life seriously. But what's the point of regret?